Olivia, I just want to thank you once again for being on the podcast. You are such an encouragement and inspiration for so many girls in the marketing community. And I'm sure everybody knows who you are. So would you please tell us something we might not know about you?
Okay, so I'll give a little bit of an introduction, just in case people don't know who I am. So my name is Olivia Mae Hanlon. I am predominantly the founder and CEO of Girls in Marketing. It's a big role, but it's a small team, so take CEO with a pinch of salt. I started Girls in Marketing back in 2019. An e-learning provider and a community for marketers. And we do lots of amazing stuff, from our membership all the way to in-person events, to doing programs and lots of free stuff for people to get involved with. And it's basically just a really nice place to get involved and geek out about marketing outside of your sort of maybe full-time role or freelance role, whatever you do. And we have a range of people that get involved in what we do, and it's really nice to see people come together, make friends, because ultimately that was the main reason that I set it up all those years ago, kind of 6 years ago now. So, in terms of something that people might not know about me, I'm not quite sure. I think I am pretty much an open book when it comes to my life, with Girls in Marketing, my life professionally, that sort of thing. But what we were actually just chatting about before is that I have found a love recently for walking. So if people follow me on Instagram and Instagram stories, they'll probably know. So it's not really a secret per se. But I have recently got into walking. I love the outside. I really enjoy just walking, but with no agenda. I think I was chatting to someone a while ago and they said, how can you just go on a walk but not have a destination? It's very much just more about going somewhere, not even going to somewhere, just walking somewhere and walking back. And I absolutely love that. And I found a recent love for it. Kind of end of 2023 to mid 2024. I was very burnt out. I wasn't having a great time with the business and in a professional sense and stuff like that. And I have actually talked a little bit about that on LinkedIn. And it was quite a difficult time for me professionally, and not something that I've ever really dealt with. So I started walking at the start of this year, sort of end of last year, start of 2025, and I just really loved it. I thought it took me away from the hustle and bustle of life as a business owner, as a marketer, everything like that, and just took me into the outdoors. And we have a canal near our house, so I love walking up and down the canal. I always see all like the ducklings and the swans and all of the lovely wildlife, and I think it kind of like brings you back down to the fact that nothing is ever too much to handle, and the fact that it's not life or death, it is just marketing. We're not saving lives, and you can kind of walk away from a situation and ultimately kind of go on a walk for an hour or 40 minutes and come back, and you can still do the things that you want to do. It's not kind of life or death. So that's probably like a fun fact about me. I've found a love for walking, and I tend to walk quite a lot. I wouldn't say I go on a walk every day, because obviously life gets busy, and I didn't go on one yesterday, but I'm hoping to go on today. So I try and get out a few times a week on a decent long walk, and I really have started to enjoy it.
Yeah, I love that. I also love walking, and I've read so many articles saying that it helps with mental health and it's also good for the body. Life is so manic nowadays, but when you go for a walk, nature itself forces you to slow down a little bit. And I think this time of year, autumn, is so beautiful with all the lovely colors. And so, yeah, we do encourage everyone to just go for a walk, and it's also free of charge. It doesn't cost you anything. It's the simplest thing ever. You don't need special gear. So just go out there and enjoy it. So, Olivia, you've done something really, really big by creating this marketing community. And I wish that as a beginner, when I first started in marketing, I had something like this, because I did feel really lonely in my work. I was a sole marketer for the first couple of years of my professional journey, and I just felt isolated. So I'm so glad that we have Girls in Marketing. So I would like to know, how has this changed your life professionally, and no, not only?
Yeah. So I love the fact that you relate to this, as now you're much more senior, and you kind of wish that you would have had something like that when you were more junior. We have tons of people in our community who are at that stage where they may be a solo marketer, and they feel really sort of overwhelmed with the idea that they want to build this really good career, but actually they don't have anyone to share that with other than their kind of immediate colleagues. In terms of how it's changed my life, it has changed my life in so many ways, and probably in ways that I didn't expect. So when I first set it up kind of all those years ago, I didn't really expect to do anything off the back of it, to be completely honest. I had a full-time job in marketing. I was working in SEO and content, and I quite enjoyed that job. You know, it wasn't a dream job. It was very much a job that I did, and I got paid for it, and I enjoyed the marketing side of it. And then as the kind of lockdown happened, as COVID happened, and as the world sort of shut down from the outside, and those doors closed, I think people really looked to see communities online. So that's kind of when we grew. So I didn't go into this with a business plan, with a plan to dominate, the world or the industry or anything like that. I just went in and thought, what can I create that I will be able to connect with more people? I'll be able to show people how accessible marketing is, and I'll be able to share my love for the industry, because I, at heart, am a marketing, psychology, business geek, and I just wanted to showcase that to people. So I think in terms of ways it's changed my life, genuinely in so many ways. When I first started Girls in Marketing, I didn't have a network. So I had a few people that I knew in the industry. I went to networking events and I kind of knew of people, but I never really had a network of people. Whereas now I have a really good, strong, and quite a big network of people that I know in
Mm.
different situations I could call upon. If I needed someone to help me with a certain strategy, or if I needed someone to refer to someone around maybe like email marketing or whatever it is, I have a really strong network that I can do that. And with that, I've also built a really strong network of brands as well. So when I first started, I didn't know people from big marketing brands. I didn't know who was working in community at Adobe or at SEMrush or at these huge marketing platforms and softwares. Over the last 6 years, I have built really good relationships with lots of brands, even if we don't work with them all of the time, even if we don't work on a sort of long-term basis, I still have those connections in the industry. And I think that is a really great thing as well, because not only are you getting to know people behind the brands, but equally you're able to call upon those people if you need them, and equally they are able to communicate to you as well. So I think network, both from a people and a brand perspective, has really changed my life, because now if you were to say, oh, Olivia, I really need someone that will help me do CRM or will help me do SEO, I instantly think of at least 3 to 4 people, if not more, that I know that could help with those sorts of things. And equally, if someone said, oh, I really want a brand partnership with this brand, I might not know every brand, but I could say, oh, I don't know them, but I do know these people, and I can put you in touch and that sort of thing. So it is really nice to be able to sort of be a connector for people. That has been a real sort of game changer for me in my life, because I wasn't kind of pre-Girls in Marketing. I wasn't a connector because I didn't really have much of a network. And equally, I just think having the network of Girls in Marketing and the actual community themselves, not just people I know personally, but people that interact with our content, that share the stuff that we do, that get involved in what we do. It's so exciting that, they're a part of our mission and our vision and the movement that we are continually creating. So I think for me, it really has just been network in such a variety of ways.
That's right. It's all about the people, isn't it, at the end of the day? And relationships are so valuable, really. Probably the most valuable asset that we have as professionals, and not only. So I subscribe to that perspective as well. Now, like kind of focusing on the community a little bit more, what makes Girls in Marketing different and unique?
I think there's a few things really. I think our tone of voice is huge. I think we're very relatable to those who are more mid-level or earlier on in their career. I think people relate to that. I also think those who are more senior, they love our tone of voice because it reminds them of their younger self. It reminds them of their early, eager, early career sort of younger self. So I think also the tone of voice, because it's not super corporate, it's very relatable, it's a little bit humorous, it's quite cheeky, it's something that is very different. I think, the traditional sort of marketing educational platforms that you've seen out there, they're very corporate, the chartered institutes, those sorts of things, the colleges and educational institutes, they're very corporate and they're very straight and narrow, and they are what they are. And, there's nothing against those, but we were bringing a different sort of vibe. We were bringing a different level to how people see education post kind of university and post high school and college and stuff like that. So I think our tone of voice is massive. And I also think just the relatability element, we always keep it super real with our community. It's something that people really come to and say, oh, how can I get involved with you guys? And as soon as they see everything that we do, they're like, yeah, I love it because it's so relatable, it's honest, it's open. And that's something that I pride both myself and also our sort of brand. And there's other marketing communities, right? Like, I am never going to say that we are the only marketing community out there. There are tons. I do think that's something that really helped us. We were one of the first, especially sort of female focused. So obviously our name is Girls in Marketing. People from a multitude of genders can get involved in what we do. So just because our name is girls doesn't mean to say you have to identify as a girl to get involved in what we do. But we were very much one of the first to do that and to do something a little bit different. We've seen marketing communities before that are maybe a little bit more tailored to senior people, or maybe are multi-gendered, or are tailored to in-house people or agency staff, those sorts of things. This was very different to what had been created before. And I think it's come from a place of authenticity that people just really relate to it, whether it's the stuff that we put out, the content, or even if it's just seeing the stuff that we're doing and saying, I really love that. And I feel that, deep in my core, I relate to those memes and that funny sort of cheeky, humorous content that you produce as well. So it is very different. But I think now what sets us apart is very much that tone of voice for sure.
I do love your memes because they are so realistic, and we all need a little bit of levity in our day, when we're snowed under and stressed. It's lovely to see a funny meme and just go, yeah, that's me. That definitely is me. And also the feedback I've heard from one of my coaching clients or a mentee, I can't remember exactly, but she said that your educational content is very engaging, so therefore very easy to peruse, very easy to finish, because we're all starting a variety of courses and webinars, but then just so difficult to complete. But your content, or educational content in particular, isn't. So all due respect for that. I know you've put in a lot of thought and effort
Definitely.
into making it that way, because it doesn't just happen.
No, and when we first started, we always took the approach of we wanted it to be as accessible, as engaging as possible. But we've had like 6 years in the game now. Like, we are creating content like the back of our hand. We know what people like. We always ask what people like and what they don't like. So we're constantly iterating on the things that we are producing. So it's not just about, we're going to create this resource that no one asks for, nobody wants, and no one understands. So what we're always doing is making sure we're creating things that the community is asking for in a way that they want them. So something, I love that you brought this up, Anna, because something that I've heard a lot of people talking about is how they like how practical our courses are. So something I really pride myself in is making sure our courses are super practical so that you can apply them to your job. Because it's all well and good doing a course on something very theoretical, having to read tons of books, sort through spreadsheets. It's very overwhelming, very confusing. But the reality is, if you're able to have things in a course or in a resource that's practical, you're then going to be able to go away and actually practically apply that into your job. So something that's really important for us is to bring the engagement, of course, like making sure people are feeling super engaged, but also bringing an element where people feel that they have that practical side of a course, so they can go away and they've ultimately got maybe a strategy doc or something that they can pull out from that course and say, right, this is what I'm going to work on now, and this is how I'm going to apply everything that I've learned.
Bingo. I think that's a powerful combination in terms of, educational material, engaging and very practical, actionable. So I was just wondering if you have a word of advice for marketing professionals at various stages of their career, besides keep learning, of course.
Yeah, I think the big thing is to try and drown out the noise, because there is a lot happening, but if it doesn't affect you, don't let it impact you and your work. If you can, keep up to date with things that are relevant for you and your role and what you enjoy, but don't worry about things, if you're working in maybe social media, don't worry about what's happening in SEO, don't worry about what's happening in email. It's good to know these things, have a general sort of umbrella knowledge, but if you are really focusing down and niching down into an area, try and make that as much as you possibly can your focus. Learn as much as you can about that, but don't worry about the other things that are going on. If you can have a very surface level knowledge of those things, that's great, but try and not focus too much and say, oh, maybe I'm creating content for LinkedIn. Oh, I don't really understand what's happening with email marketing right now, or I don't really understand what's happening with, SEO or PPC. It is good to know the general stuff that's going on and anything major that's happening. But if that's not your focus, if that's not your everyday, then try and not get down about it, because when I say there is something that changes in marketing every day, I mean it. There's a new algorithm, there's a new update, there's some sort of new push, a release by a certain brand or a certain platform, and it's so overwhelming. So try and not get yourself bogged down in that. And what I would say, because we always talk about keeping up with trends, right? So I definitely think that keeping up with trends is so important. Relevant trends, of course, but also carve out time in your diary to do that. Don't randomly open your laptop on a Tuesday morning, start searching loads of trends that are happening, and then overwhelm your brain. Focus on your tasks, focus on the things that you want to do, and schedule in time for learning, super important, but also like learning the updates and trends. Give yourself an hour every week, and it can be at whatever time you want, whether it's maybe a Wednesday afternoon or a Friday morning, whatever it is. Give yourself some time to actually research the things that are going on, reading reports that are going on. What's really great now is we have access to lots of different AI tools like ChatGPT. If you see a report, historically you would have had to go and read the full report and really understand it and digest it, whereas now something I love to do is basically put the report into ChatGPT and ask for key highlights, findings, and what us as marketers, business owners, and people can really take from these sort of reports. So just making sure you are spending your time wisely, because honestly, it can be so overwhelming if you are trying to keep up to date all the time with everything that's going on. I'm sure you'll know, Anna, it is so overwhelming, right?
Yes, right. Yeah, exactly. I think, we consume more information in a day than our ancestors used to consume in years. It's just so much. So we have to be discerning. I also think you made a very good point about the multitude of tools that we now have at our disposal. And I would like to know, what is one new tool that you're currently using and loving?
Mm-hmm. So I actually have like lots of different things going on at the moment, and I think for a lot of people it's very overwhelming to kind of see the things that they're doing every week and kind of feel overwhelmed with the amount of things that they've got on their to-do list, right? So about a year ago, I decided that my current tools were just not working for me. So I love Google Calendar, right? I live by Google Calendar. If things are in my calendar, most likely I will have seen it. If things get double booked, I'm always like, how does that happen? I try to make sure that I live by my calendar. I put all my exercises in it. I put my walks in it if I can. We were talking about walking earlier. I put in tasks, I put deep focus work. I even go to the extreme of having content focused days. So days where I will focus on content or I will focus on certain themes. So things that I'm going to be doing those days. So Google Calendar is something that I live by. And I used to use Notion quite a lot, and we still do use Notion as a team. Myself and Amy and our girls marketing team, we use Notion as a collaborative sort of tool. But something that I was really struggling with, and that I still struggle with now, is setting goals and staying accountable to those goals, and making sure that every single day I am completing things that sort of like line up to those goals. So, you're doing things on your to-do list that line up to those goals. So about 6 months or so ago, I worked with some of my friends to create a product that basically worked like that. And we're in very early stages. It's called Passata. We are what I would like to call a bit more of a to-do list. We're more than a to-do list. We're very much about how you get from the chaos of having a million things on your to-do list to the clarity of getting towards those goals and kind of moving the needle every single day. So we have created it. It's an app, it's a web app that you can register. There is a free plan. It's a great kind of tool just to get started. You can time your tasks, you can add all your tasks in, you can plan your week and future weeks ahead. And I love using it. You know, if there's a day when at the moment I don't use Passata, I really feel it. Whereas if I use it, I feel ultimately productive straight away. And what's really great is because we are early stage, we are very much putting in the work to advance it as much as possible, you know, and it's not perfect by any means right now. And we are constantly pivoting and changing and deciding to do new things, but we are listening to people who are using it, we're listening to users, and we are constantly iterating on that. So in terms of a tool that I'm using, I'm definitely using Passata to help me get everywhere. But Google Calendar is another great one. I think honestly, both have really changed my productivity. And I think as someone who is constantly on, always, you know, working towards that next goal, it's really, really important to have those systems and tools in place that help you get where you want to be.
Yeah, yeah, that's so good. And actually, the functionality I like the most in Passata is the goal setting one. So, you can create goals and then the system automatically splits it into different steps that you need to complete, different tasks. And so it becomes very actionable, right? Because the goal can be quite big and quite daunting to start with, but then when you break it down into like manageable steps, it seems more doable. So that's what Passata does for you, doesn't it? Automatically, I entered my goal in there and then it created those action steps. I think that's super, super powerful. Also, if people are into timing their various tasks, like how long did it take me to write this press release, or I don't know, review this report or create this type of content, well, you can use Passata for exactly that. So yeah, definitely give it a go, everyone. And like you said, Olivia, user feedback is very important and acted upon. All users are welcome to share their feedback with you. For people who want to connect with you, learn more about you, about Passata and Girls in Marketing, where can they find you?
So my probably the best channel to find me on is LinkedIn. So you can feel free to go over there, give me a follow. If you want to connect with me, feel free to just add a little note in saying that you listened to the podcast. Maybe tell me what you loved about it, and then I'll accept that request. Or also, you can follow me on Instagram as well. I'm really putting work into my Instagram personal brand. I'm really trying to put more content on Instagram. It is a platform that I'm less familiar with than LinkedIn, but it's still a great platform nevertheless. So I am putting some work into that. So you can find me on LinkedIn. My full name is Olivia Mae Hanlon. Mae is my middle name. But you can probably search Olivia Hanlon and it'll come up as well. And then my @ on Instagram is the same. It's just Olivia Mae Hanlon. So yeah, feel free to connect with me. Let me know, give me a message, tell me that you've listened to the podcast episode. And I would absolutely love to hear your key takeaways and things that you've loved about it.
Oh, thank you so much, Olivia. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Bye.